Hey guys, what's cracking? It's Krakenation. We're coming at you guys today with another Saviors of Uldum Hearthstone video. Keeping in this trend of our current videos, we just did a Druid video, and now that we are around a week into the Saviors of Uldum expansion, I wanted to do a quick series about the what I think are the top 5 cards as we've seen so far from this expansion in each class. Today we're going to be tackling the Shaman class. Shaman is a really cool class this expansion. Got some really fun, genuinely just fun cards to play, and that makes it really exciting to see what these cards are going to be capable of. So it's been I've played a lot of Shaman already. I think I've got a good idea of what's good right now, and I'm hoping that you guys can help you take this video and use it for information about what to see. You're going to see in the meta, what you're going to see in the meta. Excuse me, and stuff like what to craft. Hopefully this is a helpful list, but regardless, if you disagree with this list, or if you think I got something wrong, or if you agree, make sure to let me know in the comment section below. And I'm very curious to see what you guys think are the best cards in the Saviors of Uldum expansion. But without further ado, let's get right into it. So coming in at number 5 is the Mogu Flesh Shaper, and this was a card that a lot of people, including myself, were on the fence about. It's kind of got this kind of like in between corridor creeper type vibe going, kind of like a clockwork giant maybe, or mountain giant, or a sea giant, some kind of giant mechanic type thing where its cost is reduced by the number of things, like kind of like Rattle Bouncer too. But it's actually ending up being a really good card and making it into a lot of Shaman deck lists. And the reason for that is also its synergy with the card Mutate, which is a 0 mana spell that mutates a minion and basically just evolves it into one mana more expensive. And what that kind of leads to is these crazy plays where if you open up against a Zoo deck or a Token deck, which are two really common archetypes right now, also with the Murloc Paladin, there's a lot of like very zooey aggro decks out there. Mogu Flesh Shaper can open up really early. You can play it as soon as turn 3 or 4 usually. Get it out, take a really good trade, kill like a 3/3 or something, have that 3/1, and then evolve that into an 8-drop on maybe turn 3 or 4, and that can be an insane play. So that's a really powerful play. It just makes it really strong. It also synergizes in some of these decks, such as the Battlecry Shaman deck, where you can get your Witchy Lackey to evolve this Mogu Flesh Shaper even furthermore with a Battlecry, so you can get a 9-drop sometimes, and that makes this card a really powerful card, and kind of one that was a sleeper pick early in the expansion, but ends up being, I think, really, really way better than people were expecting. So at number 4, we have the Sandstorm Elemental, and Sandstorm Elemental is a really cool card. It's another one of those Shaman cards that people weren't really sure if it did enough, you know? Kind of like Mogu Flesh Shaper was like, well, at a fundamental level, this card seems good, but does it really do enough to impact the game? And I think Sandstorm Elemental is kind of a prisoner of the meta, where right now there's a ton of Zoo and a ton of token strategies going around, like I was saying. And so Sandstorm Elemental is a really, really good card for Battlecry Shaman decks, especially to counter those. Because if you think about it, like with a if your quest is activated, this is a 2-mana 2/2 overload 1, deal 2 damage to the whole board. That's Consecration effect basically. That's an insane play, and that can just really, really 2 damage against most token style boards, kills things like Treants, your Flame Imps, all those kind of cards die. So this card ends up being a really good fit in that deck, which is surprising people because you would have expected a value direction for a Battlecry Shaman deck, and this card ends up being a really nice way to bridge that gap between giving you a way to get value off your Battlecry quest, as well as deal with all these kind of decks that are overwhelming the board. Now, I said this was a prisoner of the meta, and that means that I think if this were a meta that was more control heavy, this would be perhaps the first card on this list to fall out of favor, because this card is very strictly good right now, I think, because it's a card that deals really well with these Zoo decks. So if you are a budget player, or you're a player who is careful about crafting cards, you might want to hold off if you don't already have this card in your collection, just in case, but as of right now, it is definitely a very good card. At number 3, we've got the Weaponized Wasp, and this is a card that I think everyone knew right away was going to be good, but maybe people didn't understand what its role was going to be. Weaponized Wasp's effect is insane. A lot of times you can get your lackeys out on turn 2 or 3. On turn 4, you can follow up with a lackey and Weaponized Wasp, or if a lackey sticks from turn 2, you can play Weaponized Wasp on 3, and these things just, it becomes an insane tempo play. Just really takes control of the board. It also can be a really, really powerful way to go face, doing a 3-mana 3/3 deal 6 damage to your opponent's face when the Battlecry quest is active is really powerful. So this card just has a really good way of warping the whole game around it. It's really good in the early game, the mid game, and the late game, because again, if you want these 6 health minions might get dropped, and it's a really big body to deal with 5 or 6 health. And you can play Weaponized Wasp and quickly and effectively just crush that body for a really cheap cost and develop a body of your own. So this card was an obviously powerful card when we saw it released, and it's more than lived up to the hype, I would say. So that's why I got to number 3 on this list. At number 2, we've got the Evil Totem, and Evil Totem was another card that people just knew would be good right away, and that's because before Rise of Shadows, people didn't know how good lackeys were going to be, but lackeys are great, and we've seen that time and time again as lackeys are just carrying so many different archetypes, and Evil Totem being a way to reliably generate 1-2 lackeys is huge, especially when Evil Totem, if you can coin it out on turn 1 and you go second, you can coin it out. A lot of decks cannot deal that 2 damage if they didn't develop a body on turn 1. And a lot of 1 mana minions don't have to attack to damage that. So it can be a little difficult for some decks to deal with an Evil Totem. And if this thing starts getting 2 or 3 lackeys, all of a sudden you are dealing with a lot of value, and especially in a deck that values battle cries, like Battlecry Shaman. So Evil Totem just becomes a natural fit in that deck, obviously, and it's such a powerful card. Lackeys are so good. I will say the lackey pool did get a little worse in the since Rise of Shadows in Saviors of Uldum, just because the Titanic Lackey definitely has spots where it's good, and you might have discovered that like there are times where against an aggro deck, throwing down a Titanic Lackey can help you stabilize for just a turn, buy some time, or sometimes it's really good to, like, if you know your opponent might play a spell next turn, you can Titanic Lackey your Evil Totem and give it a little bit more health to help you guarantee that it survives until the next turn. So not that Titanic Lackey is necessarily bad, but it is, I would say, noticeably worse than a lot of the other lackeys and what they're capable of doing. You really want to get Kobold Lackey is really good. I mean, Witchy Lackey is really good in this deck, obviously. Kobold Lackey might be the best Lackey, but all the other Lackey, even the Ethereal Lackey is really, really good. So there's a really good Lackey pool to choose from. So that really helps this card be really, really, truly excellent. But coming at number 1, if you couldn't guess, is the Shaman Quest Corrupt the Waters. And this, if how many times I didn't talk about Battlecry Shaman make this obvious, I don't know what else can, because Corrupt the Waters is an insane card. It's so powerful, and I think what's going to be different between this and the Druid Quest is that I think the Druid Quest is powerful, but a lot of really powerful cards like Oasis Surger that I put above the Druid Quest are really helping to prop that archetype up. Whereas Corrupt the Waters, if you think about it, a lot of these cards wouldn't be, like Sandstorm Elemental, for example, would not be quite as good if Corrupt the Waters wasn't carrying them. And I think Weaponized Wasp even would be a great card, no doubt, but it's made so much better. So rather than the Druid Quest being propped up by powerful cards like Oasis Surger, in this case, I think Corrupt the Waters is propping up a lot of these cards to even more absurd potential than they were already. So that's why I think Corrupt the Waters has got to be the number 1 card on this list. It just has so many different applications. Really good if you want to use it to build a tempo-y deck with lackeys and stuff, but also really good in value decks because it obviously can help you generate just immense value off your battle cries. So that is the reason why Corrupt the Waters has to be number 1 on this list. But if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a comment, rate, subscribe, all of that good stuff. I am still pretty new to Hearthstone videos, so let me know what you think in the comment section below. Do you agree with my list? I hope you do. But if you don't, that's okay. Make sure to let me know what you disagree with. But until next time, I will see you guys later. Krakenation out.